Okay, my name's Zakashi, guys, and in this video here, this is kind of a request video, but this is a good time to make this video as we are going into the 6th anniversary. Someone asked me, can you make a video on how to make a strong team? Now, with this being the case, in my Discord server, I do have a channel. You should join the Discord server, by the way, where you can actually receive help on anything revolving around Dragon Ball Legends. Now, I do want to emphasize that these guys that help in the server are not slaves, but you can go into the channel, ping the helper role at it, and then there will be somebody that will come in some time to help you out with what your query is regarding Dragon Ball Legends. So if you haven't already, join the Discord server down below. But of course, playing Legends, playing any game, it's a learning process, and you want to be able to build the best team that you can without any help. So this is what this video is for. But of course, we are heading into the anniversary pretty soon. At the 25th of May, that's when the reveal will happen. I will be streaming it. So let me know how many Chrono Crystals you guys have got. You gotta let me know, man. The anniversary is soon, and you definitely need to be in the best position when it comes to the new units that are going to drop. If you have any questions regarding team building, please be sure to leave any questions in the comment section below. I will be checking them because this is obviously a guide video. But I've done too much talking at the start of this video, man. Let's get into it. Right, this is going to be a precursor to the video, and I've actually planned this video out super structured. So if you see me doing like this, I'm just looking at a list of notes because there's so much to go into when it comes to team building. But in this segment of the video, I want to tell you that there's an unreal number, it could be close to infinite, amount of ways to build a team that you shouldn't just think, right, cool, every single way somebody builds a team is 100% right. This is because of multiple factors like access to units, access to equipments, your star levels, and the star levels have an impact because of your Z abilities. So there's all these things that go into play when you're trying to build a strong team. So for when you're watching me give you this guide step by step, it's more so what I do to build a strong team. It might not be the most effective way, but I'm going to write it off as the most effective way. I try to be super efficient with all my thought processes, and I think you will see that in this video. But ultimately, you just have to try your best with what you have, or at least try to get certain things in the future if you're trying to build a certain team in a similar way that I have, or any other content creator or any other person that you know that has a good team. So just bear that in mind going through this video, that if I do something, you might not be able to copy it exactly the way it is, but you also have to learn the methodology that I'm applying, the thought process that I'm going through, so that you can build a team with your own pieces. I think that's very important to note when you're going into team building. Don't ignore everything in this segment here. It's super important, more than the actual information. Another thing I want to go into is some misleading factors that exist when you're building a team. So a lot of people that are new to the game will not be aware of these factors, but because of how PvP works and the way the game is, it's a 3v3 game. There are a lot of things that appear important that are not. One of them being the ability bonus. The ability bonus, it's not important. I promise you, it's not important. Yes, it does go up as you build your team, as you're going on adding more pieces to your team, equipment, etc, but it's just a number. Of course, the number being bigger would be better, but the number doesn't represent how good your units are going to do in PvP. For example, if you have a 6,000 ability bonus versus somebody that has a 3,000 ability bonus, in most cases, you would assume that the 6,000 would be better, but that's not necessarily true. It just means all the pieces synergize more well than the others. But the guy with the 3,000 ability bonus could have a way better team, but he's only focuses on the main 3, and that's what you should be doing in most cases if you're trying to thrive and build an actual strong team in PvP. So that's something you should notice. In that same sense, it should also tell you that the power level is not important, because if you have 3 units you're planning to bring in PvP, so let me just pick 3 for example. I'm just going to switch to my ultras. Let's say I wanted to play PvP using the likes of Ultra Gogeta Blue, and I also wanted to add Ultra Super Vegito, so I'm running 3 Fusion Warriors, right? I don't need another 3 Fusion Warriors if I know 100% I'm going to bring these 3. So then I might go ahead and opt in on making my bench just 3 Zenkai buffs. So in this case, I might want to bring Red Vegito, I'm going to bring Red Super Gogeta, and then I'm going to bring Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. Now, these 3 units that I've just added are way weaker than the top 3 Ultras. Where's Gotenks here? These 3 units I just added are way weaker than the top 3 that I've just added. But naturally, no matter what you add, it will increase your power level. But just because I might add somebody more overpowered, so for example, I'm going to swap out, I don't know, Red Vegito for Ultra Super Gogeta, right? My power level went up about 1,000. But that doesn't mean my team is necessarily better, because I don't plan to use Ultra Super Gogeta. So the power level can also be another misleading factor. You shouldn't focus on it too much. So you should really just focus on the fact that you're going to be using 3 units in the battle, and then focus on buffing them in a certain way. the power level and ability bonus, they be sending people astray all the time. Try to avoid like focusing on, oh, I'm trying to get up, just focus on your team, because you'd have to know, because it's more important to know what units you're actually going to be using rather than just having as many units as you can to bring the power level up. Next thing I want to go into is focusing on the idea of elements. You don't need to have one on each element on the team. Element mental restriction will end you. The game teaches you that you should focus on the color wheel. You should protect yourself. There's blue, green, purple, yellow, red. And because of that, you need to have one of each element in case somebody brings a certain element, and that will counter you. But the game is in such an advanced state that units kits prevent them from being countered directly to elements. Some units also have type neutral. So let's use Ultra Vegito Blue as an example. This guy's a very good example. His green card literally gives him type neutral, and if you don't know what type neutral is, it means it makes him unable to be color counted, so nobody will have advantage over him during that period of time. Let me read where it says it. So it says here, nullifies own unfavorable element factors for 10 time accounts. A lot of units kits have that, so they don't need to worry about the damage they'll take against, in this case, Ultra Vegito Blue's red, so he'll be type disadvantaged to a blue. So I don't need to focus on that all the time. Also, I might want to build a team a certain way. So let me give you another example. I might want to use a Fusion Warrior team where I'm running double red, and then I'll protect that red with a green, because blue is better than red, so then I'll bring a green. So in this case, I'd say maybe like Super 17, for example. So I'm going to put Super 17 on the leader slot because he doesn't have a Fusion Warriors. And then I'll swap Ultra Super Vegito for Pycon and Gogeta. Where are they? Now, having two reds makes me vulnerable to blues, but I have one green that protects me from that blue. So you see how I'm not thinking about having, oh, I should have one red and maybe one blue and then one green. It wouldn't be effective. And doing it like this is also very efficient, because then I can focus on Zenkai buffs in addition. So if I look at this and I go to details, Super 17, if I go to Zenkai buffs, is getting Zenkai buff by those two reds. But you know who else is? Ultra Vegito Blue, because it's also red and Fusion Warrior, and that works way more productively because of how much the Zenkai buffs give you. So you kind of need to avoid the idea that you need one of each element on your team, because that could lead you astray. It's not always the most effective thing when you're building a team. You should be able to just focus on what elements are going to take priority on your team based on what people are using or what units are popular at that moment in time. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about, but yeah, it's mostly just the element thing, ability bonus, and the power level. It can be super misleading. And just to finalize this team, by the way, I'll just put a green Super Gogeta because he's a Fusion Warrior, and then Pycon gets a Zenkai buff, and you can see how this effectively works. I could also go for HP buff, but I'll talk about that just a bit later in this video. Now, this segment here is pretty much for the ease of access in the game. It's more about you being able to find what you need to find very effectively. So I'm going to go to party formation here, and I'm going to show you how I sort things. So given the information I previously gave you, I keep this on element because power level, like I said, it's irrelevant. Let me even show you how irrelevant it is. Let's turn Sparkings and Ultras on. So Ultra Vegito Blue, because he's a leader, he's going to appear at the top. But Blue Vegito Blue is the highest power level in the game for me. He should be for a lot of people as well, especially Zenkai, but depends on your stars, of course. But then a unit like Super 17, who's super relevant right now, is way below even the likes of Goten, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and Purple Rose. That is absurd to me, which shows you that it's misleading. So naturally, always leave it on element. Me, I leave it on element as when I started the game, it helped me a lot when I was trying to figure out the color element wheel. You know, blue is weak to green, green is weak to purple, purple is weak to yellow, and yellow is weak to red, and red is weak to blue. You see it reset. In the same way, it sorts it out in element order: blue, green, purple, yellow, red. It helps you get a hold of it, and because you know what element units are, it'll be easier to find. So if I'm looking for yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I just go to the yellow section, then bang, he's right there. Of course, you might want to have it on order received, but I think that's not efficient if somebody's trying to help you build a team as well. But for you alone, you might remember, but ideally element would also just help you get along. I wouldn't go for anything else. I really just only use element, but sometimes depending on what you're trying to do, you might want to switch it. So let's say you're looking for who doesn't have their boost panels, you'll find all the Zenkais pretty much high and you'll be able to sort it out that way. But keep it for element for ease. And then in this section here, you pretty much only need sparkings and ultras. In some cases, you might need EXs. For example, I'm going to go to the EX right now that I use for GT. There's the Kid Goku that is purple over here. He's a HP buffer for GT. So that's the only time I might switch it, and I'd pretty much just play with these three here. You will never need the heroes, I'll be honest, but you will definitely need the sparkings and ultras, and then from time to time you'll need the EXs depending on what you're going to be doing, but pretty much this is the only settings I use. If I want to find Legend Limited super easy, it's still on element, but then I might turn on the Legend Limited applicable option here, so it only shows me the Legend Limiteds and I can get through it a lot easier without going through the filler. Then on top of that, if I also wanted to do Zenkais, so if you add the Zenkai addition to Legend Limited, it will filter it even more. And then if I scroll down and just take off the Legend Limited to keep the Zenkai on, I might be able to find a Zenkai faster, because it is still hard to find through the whole like mosh pit of all these characters, you know. So if you just want to speed up the process, I usually just play with these. And then if you want to take it even a step further, you can play with just the specific elements. So I'm looking for yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku again, and then boom, and then he's right there. Do you see how I've done that? So really and truly, keep this on the left, the sort setting element, and then on the right, keep the filter with sparkings and ultras, and then you can adjust it accordingly as you are looking for certain characters that you want to use. Now here's where it gets really tricky, and these are deciding factors. I've written it down as deciding factors that will make or break your team. So initially you need to pick the tag. The tag is probably the hardest thing to decide on, because you need to know what's meta relevant, assuming you're trying to build a strong team, so you're kind of meta slaving. But you could also build a team that you like and it can also be strong. Those two are not exactly directly correlating, but they do fit together in a lot of scenarios. So in this case, for this example, I'm going to use Fusion Words because I know Fusion Words like the back of my hand. So what I do, I change the character tag here just so I only see those characters there. But also just bear in mind that when you're building a character based on a certain tag, a certain character that buffs that tag might not be under that tag. For example, if I'm using a Saiyan team and it's full of all Gokus, yes, the team is all Gokus, but there might be a Son family member such as Gohan, Pan, and Goten that buff that Goku, and it would still fit perfectly because they all synergize well. So just bear that in mind. It's not 100% true to just a pure tag. It's not always efficient to build a pure tag because the leader slot exists. But in this case, we're just going to be talking about Fusion Words. I just put in those precursors. Now, you then have to know the strongest units in that tag. Now, this is something that is like topic knowledge, and I'll talk on it in a bit more detail in the future of this video. But ideally, like I said, power level is misleading. It leads you astray. You just have to know. And how would you know if you don't have the units or not? There's lots of ways to know. You can literally play PvP, so by experience, people will be using a certain unit a lot. There's the ranking leaderboards, and there's also content on YouTube, but like I said, I'll dive into that more in the future. You also have to consider the elements and who buffs what elements. So let's say you wanted to use purple, right? I wanted to use Ultra Gogeta Blue in this case. Ultra Gogeta Blue has one Zenkai buff, but then if I think about it, Fusion Warriors have a lot more. They have two. So if I wanted to use Ultra Vegito Blue, I could double Zenkai buff him with Super Gogeta and Red Vegito. Do you see? So it might be more efficient to focus on my reds because the reds also have good bench to support them. If I wanted to use a yellow, I think there's only there's Ultra Super Vegito as the yellow, but then there's only Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. But then Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks could be super good because he's also a Zenkai buffer for the purple Ultra Super Vegito, but he's also a HP buffer. And especially if you're low stars, HP is so important. It's vital. It's super vital because you will get melted otherwise. But luckily for me as well, purple Super Vegito is also a HP buffer once you get him to 14 stars, but he also Zenkai buffs purple Saiyans. So you see how there the tag kind of crosses over, but Ultra Gogeta Blue is a fusion of Goku and Vegeta, so that also makes him a Saiyan. He gets that Zenkai buff even though this guy's a fusion warrior. His Zenkai buff doesn't exactly have to be Fusion Warrior, so sometimes you need to watch for the tags. Not everything's going to correlate in a straight line. You need to know what the conditions are and what characters tags are, so it's a learning process nonetheless. Having the knowledge is super useful. Now obviously this isn't the best Fusion Warrior team overall, but I'm just showing you how I would go about putting the pieces together. If you know what units are the strongest, then you'd be able to build the team a lot more effectively. So like I did earlier, Super 17 is a very popular unit. Ultra Vegito Blue at high stars can still do a lot of work. And then if I want to consider a third piece, I would probably go Pycon, because the revival layers are very valuable nowadays. Having a revival layer keeps you protected, and Pycon Goji are really good regardless. Then you think about the Zenkai buffs. I already showed you the two that I love because of the red suit fusion warriors, so these guys eat off these. And then I have to think of one for Pycon, or I can go for a HP buff, so I could actually add Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks if I wanted to. He would be a HP buffer. If I have SV, he would be better because he also buffs other things. Or I could go for the Zenkai buff depending on my stars. I might want to ignore the HP buff. And then on top of that, I'm also considering the Ultra ability for Ultra Vegito Blue if I wanted to like use an outside Zenkai buff. So I wouldn't go for it because Super 17 is kind of messing up the synergy. But that's why he's on leader slot. But let's say I was using, I don't know, UGB instead. So I'm going to take him off, right? I put SV here. And I wanted another Zenkai buff for UGB. What I would do, I'd obviously take off the Fusion Warrior thing. I'd go to OK. I know if another Zenkai buff is Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Where is he? Super Saiyan 3 Goku over here. He's another Zenkai buff because he buffs Purple and Saiyan, and his ability is Saiyan. Even though I'd be losing a 5% buff from the Ultra ability for Ultra Vegito Blue, it might be worth it to still Zenkai buff Ultra Gogeta Blue and get that out of him. You'll be getting all the extra stats. Let me actually show you. It's actually a lot. A Zenkai buff is actually a lot. 40% strike attack, 35% blast attack, and then 40% strike defense, and then 35% blast defense. You know, that's a lot considering that I'm only dropping 5% for this guy out of his ultra ability. Then I guess he also did lose a Zenkai buff because I'm deciding to prioritize UGB. But you see how that's working. It's really just your choice options, what you have available, what you prefer to do. There's so many ways you can go about it, and that's what I was talking about at the start of the video. It's all down to you ultimately at the end of the day. But as long as you're considering those deciding factors. So the first one was the tag, your strongest units in that tag and element. What else is there? The Zenkai buffs. And then depending on your star level, the HP buff. Those are like 4 things that are deciding factors when you're building a team. Next, we're going to be going into equipment. And if you're wondering why I'm in the exchange shop, is because the dual coin section is the most important segment in the game when it comes to equipments nowadays. If you aren't messing with co-op, you need to start messing with it, because if you want to build a strong team, it's futile. You have to go into the dual coin exchange shop. If you're wondering why I'm here, like I'm going to show you, there's these equipments here that literally will transform your team from 0 to hero. Now, the reason why this shop is important, I'm going to go into that in detail right now. They have these equipments that have pure slots, and if you don't know what a pure equipment is or a pure slot is, it ignores the word base. Now, let me just find one, for example. So I'm going to pick this one here at the top. You can see here we have base blast attack 12% to 35%, right? Base. So just don't forget that word, base. But then if we look at slot 3 is what you would identify as a pure slot. It says 5 to 15% to strike and blast defense. The word base is missing. The word base goes missing when it's a pure slot. And that means you're able to get a multiplier on your stats. Now, base, you need a lot of it. So I advise with units, when you're building the equipments for them, you get 2 equipments that have a lot of base of the certain type that they are, whether they're range type or melee type, strike, blast. And then you get a pure equip that would multiply that. So that would be the 3rd equip. You'd get a lot of base, then you'd also get a pure equip, and that would multiply that. Now, going into these equipments, they literally changed everything. They make teams go from trash to complete god type teams, and it's absurd. And there's one for pretty much every single tag nowadays, and if not, there's probably one coming out for your team soon. So if we look here, we got the Saiyan Saga one, which is actually really good, strike and blast defense, and then strike and blast attack here. We've also got here for the Ultra Golden Frieza. Sometimes they make it specifically for units, but they like mask it through conditions. So you can see here Frieza and character Frieza and episode Saga from the movie. That's clearly Ultra Golden Frieza. Going further, we got this one here for powerful opponent. Going further, we got this one here for Hybrid Saiyan. Going further, we got this one here for Vegeta Clan. Going further, this one here specifically for Super 17, but you can see they didn't even mask it. They said character Android 17 and GT, but it's clearly Super 17, and then this one's GT. So on and so forth. There's one equipment for every single one of your team, and you need to find what team you want to build, and then you'd be able to use it. Now, bear in mind that most of these equipments lock you into using 3 of that kind. Not all of them, This one here allows just GT and Fusion Warrior. So as long as you're running like G4, you're fine. And this one here, strike attack battle member other than this battle member is tag GT. You just need to meet the conditions, but some of them are a lot more simple. For example, this Son family one, it's only, you need to be running 3. So I know it says there are 3 tag Son family battle members remaining, but it's a typo. Take this as word from me. If I'm lying, I'm flying. This has been confirmed by multiple people in the Dragon Ball Legends community. It's just a mistranslation. Even if one of your battle members die on the battlefield, you will not lose those buffs. They stay in place. It's just a mistranslation. They haven't fixed it. They're not going to, because Japanese is kind of difficult in comparison to how English is. It doesn't translate perfectly all the time. You gotta let them slide. But it's just a mistranslation. This one's really simple. Just put 3 Son family members on the team that you're going into battle with, and then if they have this equipped, they will get that pure 12%. On top of that, there's also base strike defense and so on and so forth. But you see how impactful these equipments are. These equipments have literally changed the game. If it's not these equips, there's certain teams where awakened equips will literally give you that advantage. So let me actually go to the Zenkai Ultra Space Time Rush shop. Some of these awakened equips are literally life changing, and I think the main one I want to show you for hybrid Saiyans, this one is literally Ascend from Heaven. If you don't have this and you run hybrid Saiyans, you can get up to 24% pure, and no other team has that. So this is an example of awakened equip that clears those ones in the exchange shop. It's super impactful, this one here. All the hybrid Saiyans run it. Now I'm going to show you a team that I use consistently. This is Son family. I've got Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan getting double Zenkai buffed. I've got Bardock and Goku getting double Zenkai buffed, and UI doesn't have any Zenkai buffs, but he's 14 stars. So overall, the team is doing pretty solid. I could also Zenkai buff Ultra UI, but I don't have Bardock Zenkai. But I do have 4Q Zenkai, so he'd be getting Zenkai buffed once if I wanted to. But I prefer to double Zenkai buff Bardock and Goku because they obviously are not as good as the other 2 units. So looking at the team, what I've gone ahead and done for every single unit is giving them 2 equips, then a pure. 2 equips, then a pure. 2 equips, and then a pure. Let's look at Gohan's here. He's got special move, ultimate damage, health, and blast defense. Over here in the middle one, he's got strike defense, special move, ultimate damage, and blast attack. Then the pure comes in for Son family. Surprise, surprise, they're all Son family. They get the pure, as I'm going to be running only the top 3. Same thing here with Bardock and Goku. He's got this equip here for base stats, this equip here for base stats, and then he's getting pure from this one here. According to the fact that there's a Goku and a Bardock battle member, he's going to get 12%. Now this one here, it's super good because it even applies if the unit is themselves. So the conditions are being met by the unit themselves, which is super good. But even if I wanted to, I could run this equipment on UI Goku. Where is it? Where is it? The condition is Saiyan, and it's right there. You see, I can select it, and then it'll be on UI Goku. He'll be getting the 12% 11.75 special move damage, which is obviously impactful for him. So overall, it just synergizes well. But back to before what I was doing, I'm going to put that equipment back on Bardock and Goku. Then we go to the last slot here with UI. Same thing. First equipment, ultimate damage, strike defense, blast attack. This one here is an awakened where I'm getting a bit of everything, to be honest. And then again, another pure for Son family. If you're wondering why these 3 don't have equipment, like I said earlier in the video, don't get slated by ability bonus and power level. Putting equipment on these guys are useless for me because I'm never going to bring them into battle because I know these are my main 3 and I'm using these guys as Zenkai buffs to buff the element. And you can see how I'm using double green and a yellow, and because Bardock and Goku have the tag switch, Goku's blue, Bardock's green, it can work. So I'm technically running, well, it's not 3, it's 3 elements, green, blue, and yellow. Green, blue, and yellow. These 2 have double Zenkai buffs because this guy unfortunately doesn't buff Son family, he buffs hybrid Saiyans. So Gohan gets 1 out of there, and etc. But this is like a really greedy team for Gohan. I probably shouldn't go that way. I could probably go Pan here, and then it would all work all the way, or I could go 4Q, where is it, and then everybody will still get the Z ability. Do you see what I'm saying? So overall, it works pretty well. It's not like anything to cry about. It's still pretty good. Let me just confirm his Z ability. It's Son family as well, so he gets the Z abilities as well. It works either way. It's a pretty good team overall. It's quite a meta team using UI and Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan together. But you see how valuable the equipments make the team more than anything else. The units are good regardless, but the equipments really bring them to that next level, which is something you should really take in when you're building the teams. Again, how do you know what equipments are good besides from the co-op ones, the dual coins ones that I just showed you? It's really just checking the rankings on the leaderboard. You'll be able to study from loading into games on PvP. You can now stalk people's teams because the game shows you. But I'll get into that, like I said, later in this video. I'm about to. Now, this is the last section of this video for how you should build a good team. But it's really, how do you know what units are good? How do you know what equipments are good? How do you know you're building a good team? Yes, I taught you how to do everything, but the pieces are important. If you don't know what the pieces do, how do you know what pieces are good even if you do know what they do? You know, there's so many things to consider. You can't just magically know. You can assume based on things being new, but not everything new is good. How do you know? Always let other people take the fall for you. The first thing I'm going to show you is the PvP leaderboard. This is the first place you can go to just swipe a good team. The top 100 players in the world are accessible for everybody to see. Go to PvP and the ranking section here. Press the crown over there, and then the PvP leaderboards are going to load, and then you're going to see everybody that is top rankers. Here, you can just take somebody's team that's good. So I've already got the top 30 loaded. If I go to the #1 player in the world right now, what is he using? He's using powerful opponents. Decent team. He's probably running Super 17, First Form Freezer, and Ultra Golden Freezer, maybe Super Baby 2 now and then. You could also see their equipments, which is also obviously good. You can't see exactly what slots they have, but seeing their equipments is way more effective than anything else. You can literally wrap them up all the way, and you'll be able to go crazy with that. Here, #2, let's look at what he's doing. If we check his equipment, you can see here, he's kind of cooking with the units here. You see #3, you can do the same thing, but of course if you want a better measure, you would obviously like go all the way through every single, like not every single, but you can go through at least 10, 20 to get a decent measure of what the top 30 to top 100 are doing in PvP. Let's look at #30, see what team they're using. He's using Son Family of Evil Ken. Let's see how that's working for him. This is kind of unorthodox. I haven't seen this team ever before. So some people might be testing teams. You might see like weird teams and stuff like that. That's why you need to check a lot of them. This is it's universe rep, but I think his main 3 are Son Family. Let's see how he's built it. Yeah, see, he's got the Son Family equipment, and here he's going for just some base stats pretty much. I think that 3rd equip is a pure as well. I'm not too familiar with it, and I'll just pick one more just to show you. Let's pick this Gogeta Blue user just because. What's he using? He's using Janemba on powerful opponents. So you can see you get a variety of teams, which is obviously good as well, because some people might not have what you have. Some people might have exactly what you have. So you might want to compare it to different things that you might want to chase for, or just keep the same, etc, etc. That's one way you can find out what units are good, what equipments are good. Another way you can find out is by going to GodTube. So you might want to press this TV over here where Orange Piccolo is coming out, and then you want to go to new replays, and in the replays you can see what units people are bringing, the main 3 they're bringing. So you can see here, you can see the 3 Can I Win versus Jex BV. He was using Nappa, Revival Vegeta, Yamcha, Ultra Golden Freedom, and versus Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan on pretty much androids or powerful opponents. A lot of people use similar teams, and you'll be able to see that consistently as the god rankers, the TV players, the guys that play on the TV are all top 1000 players, god rank players, BR70, the highest of the game. So these are reliable sources that you could take from. Now, the last thing that I want to mention is that there's obviously content creators. Content creators, most of them, me myself, I'll speak for me myself. Of course, you'll have your own favorite content creator. If it's not me, should probably be me, not just joking. But of course, I'll speak for me myself. I make tier lists. I make videos on best teams and equipments. You could probably trust my opinion because I'm also a god rank climber. If I show you PvP, I've hit god rank 49 times. Not in a row, but 49 times. That means I've placed top 1000 in the world 49 times. The highest rank I've placed in PvP, I think, is 7th. And I wasn't even trying that hard. PvP is more about playing a lot rather than being super skilled. I am good enough skilled to reach the top crop of the PvP, but I'm not sweating the game that much, you know. So again, content creators are very reliable because they play the game literally every single day. So that's another source that you can find them. They make tier lists, best teams and equipments videos, etc, etc. Those will be your 3 sources for how you know what units are good, what equipments are good, so that you can go ahead and then put your pieces together. It's a lot to take in, but it's a learning process. And once you actually get good enough, you'll realize that the things that they drop in the future consistently have patterns, etc, etc. So you'll be able to understand it without going directly to content creator. You'll be able to make your own deduction of what PvP is like. As you can see, there's so many factors to consider when building a team, so the best way I could go about making this video would to only give you my thought process for how I would go about it if I was building a team. But really and truly, everybody will have their own thought process when building a team, but knowing what's available, what's not available will help you get above. It will literally help you get way far. It's honestly more about your knowledge more than anything else. Of course, you need the resources as well, but if you know what's available, you'll be able to get further faster than if somebody just had no topic knowledge. And it's not something you can just gain. There's too many ways to think about it to just give it to you. But if you have an idea and then you could research what units are good, what units are bad, what equipments are good, what equipments are bad, then you could get the ball rolling to build your own team without any help. But hopefully this video was useful. Hopefully it was helpful. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name's Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.